Hey, sassy stuff. Welcome back to another episode of Locker Room Talk. I'm here today with Emma to talk about the quarterback race that's happening at the University of Alabama. Emma, did we think we would be back to this where we're having three different individuals competing for that starting position?
Eventually, yeah. We can't always have a lucky year where we kind of know who's going to be QB1 going into it. And Kalen DeBoer coming into it was kind of lucky in a sense that QB1 was kind of figured out. I know it didn't fit his system as much, but Jalen Milroe, when he's at his best, he's sensational. And we saw that throughout the year. When he's at his worst, it's not the best thing in the world to witness. But the highs and lows were super fun. And I think moving into 2025 with the QB battle that's now going on at Alabama with Ryan Grubb now coming back to Alabama, I think this is going to be really exciting for the Crimson Tide to really find their new voice under Kalen DeBoer.
And if you guys didn't get a chance to see it, be sure to go back and check out our other episode where we did talk about Coach Grubb coming to join the Crimson Tide. With that being said, this is truly, like we've talked about so many different times, this is really the first year that I think we're going to get to see DeBoer actually shine. And yes, he had a great first start. I mean, better than I think what anyone really could ask for coming into his position. But this is going to be the chance where he actually gets to set the precedence of this is how we operate, this is what I expect, and this is also the team to cultivate with the recruits that I've now had the chance to bring in. So let's actually talk about these three different contenders real fast. Let's start off with Ty Simpson. Emma, this kid, I'm like, okay, there's something here with this dual threat. He's kind of reminding me of like the days when we were in school with Jalen and Tua, a little bit of these kind of dual threat capabilities. What are your thoughts on Ty?
I love Ty. Ty's been sitting for a while. Ty's been waiting his turn. He's a redshirt junior. He's a former 5-star recruit from the 2022 class. So now we're going into 2025. He was Jalen Milroe's backup, and he's had 3 seasons of experience in college football. And experience, honestly, is everything. He's had some good playing time. I know it's not against the top tier teams of the league at times. I know he did a lot with Mercer this year. But he's been waiting. I think he might be ready. We've seen some sparks of greatness for him. Like you said, he is a dual threat quarterback. We've seen him run this year. He's had some great passes, but there's still a big question mark from him. I know he has a strong arm. He has the ability to make these great throws. He's not as mobile as Milroe, but he does have that capability. So it might be time to let Ty Simpson shine. So what do you think about him?
I think, again, there's a value in being familiar with something, right? And so him being a part of this team for quite some time now and knowing how the offensive strategies have worked, that's a plus. But again, we're having a new offensive coordinator come into the fold right now. And so despite this level of familiarity, there's still something to be said. If we're looking at how a lot of these teams shine this past year in the NCAA, it's defenses win games. That's where you see like teams distinguish themselves from one another. And while it's great to have this offensive familiarity already in place, it still isn't necessarily enough to guarantee you a spot, especially with a new coordinator who's coming in to help shake things up, but to also work in tandem with building a strong defense to get this Alabama team up to standard.
One other thing I love about Ty Simpson is he worked under Nick Saban as well. Austin Mack, Keelon Russell, who we'll talk about, did not. So he has that experience from the greatest of all time. Plus, he's had a year under Kalen DeBoer. So I think that is a really interesting combination of taking these two coaching styles and really figuring out what works best for him. Like, you always want to have as many teachers as possible because different methods from different teachers are going to help get the best out of you, because you can take one thing here, one thing there, and mix it into what you become. So having Nick Saban and Kalen DeBoer as his college coaches, I think is a great precedent to set for him as an athlete, and also him maybe going to the pros if we get to that point. I just want to see more from him. So I'm hoping when we get to A-Day, we're going to see a lot from him. I know you can only tell so much in those games, but I think we'll be hearing some stirrings around then of who will start.
Let's talk about Austin Mack here for a second. And when we were getting ready for this episode, doing the research about these different players, hearing that Austin Mack is 6'6", he's weighing 236 pounds. I'm like, holy cow, this quarterback coming at you Oh my goodness gracious, this is a very large individual, and what an asset that is. You really don't see this combination when it comes to a lot of quarterbacks in this particular position. It's a really unique little dynamic. And with him transferring from Washington and having been a part of Coach DeBoer's former team, it definitely it puts you at kind of a peak interest situation. I'm very curious to see this dynamic play out should he get the opportunity to do so. But I also think it's something that we really don't commonly see in the SEC that could be a unique distinguishing factor to have a quarterback of this kind of stature, but also this reputation leading the way in this new era that we're about to witness. What are you thinking about Austin Mack? I'm like, this kid's interesting to me.
We'll get to who we're kind of giving the edge to later, but Austin Mack, you know what? He, like you said, he very much interests me in a way because Kalen DeBoer recruited him. Kalen DeBoer brought in Michael Penix Jr., who's now with the Atlanta Falcons, who helped take that Washington team to the national championship. Austin Mack, this kid was there for Kalen DeBoer. Kalen DeBoer liked this kid. He liked his how he played. And so the fact that he now came with Kalen DeBoer to Alabama, I'm like, I think he's expecting to start. And like you said, this guy is huge. And that is so huge as a quarterback because you get sacked. And if you get hurt, then you're out of the game. And sometimes that throws off the entire offense if the backup isn't up to snuff in that moment. So him being that big and getting hit, I'm like, oh, you're not really going to get that hurt, hopefully. So I think that is a huge advantage. He did serve as a backup to Jalen Milroe as well. He appeared in one game, completing 2 of 3 passes for 39 yards and a touchdown. So he did have a touchdown with the Alabama Crimson Tide already. But like you said, he is so interesting to me. And it really just comes down to the relationship he's had with Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb. He knows the system. He has gone through it now for 2 years. So could this be the answer? Could Kalen DeBoer be like, that is my guy. That is the guy I recruited. That's the guy I believed in from the beginning. I understand Ty Simpson's been waiting, but he was waiting under Nick Saban. And I appreciate that he went through the transfer, but maybe Austin Mack is who he's going to go with.
We have one more contender to talk about as well, and that's Keelon Russell. This is truly our freshman star right here. He's an early enrollee and a 5-star recruit from Duncanville High School in Texas. And not only does he have very impressive high school stats, but that also includes over 4,000 passing yards and 58 total touchdowns in his senior year. He was also recognized as the Elite 11 MVP. And despite being a freshman, this is kind of reminding me a little bit of some of those starting quarterbacks that we saw during that legacy period from 2016 up until 2020, 2021 at Alabama. It really plays back into the legacy of just these freshmen athletes coming in ready to dominate that have really demonstrated such levels of excellence in their high school careers. What are we thinking about where he's going to sit at with these already 2 very strong contenders vying for this quarterback spot?
Yeah, he's again they're all big question marks, but this is my biggest question mark because this kid is fantastic. He's won 1 million awards. He led his team to back-to-back state championships in 2022 and 2023. He is known for his excellent athleticism, dual threat capabilities. I think all quarterbacks kind of are moving into that dual threat category. That's kind of what people want. It's trending. And he is considered a winner and an elite athlete and passer. And you know who wants an elite athlete and passer? Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb, because that's what they want to do. They want to have those explosive offenses. So I think this guy, if he doesn't start, I think he would start the following year just based on how fantastic he is. Also, Ryan Williams was a big reason why he came to the school. So having that matchup, and I only think Ryan Williams is going to be there for another 2 years before he goes pro. So I think Keelon Russell is definitely going to get some playing time with him, whether that be this year or next year. I think he will be starting at some point while Ryan Williams is at the school. But this guy, I love him already, and he hasn't even stepped foot. Well, he did. He's earlier enrolled, but I love him so much. I think he's going to be an exceptional college player. And if he really buys into Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb offense, then I think this could be a match made in heaven. Will he start this year? I don't know, but I think 2026, we'll be seeing Keelon Russell as QB1.
So with that being said, between all of these three different contenders right now, Emma, who are you betting that is going to get that quarterback spot for the 2025 season?
That is a great question. I'm still undecided. I mean, you have Ty Simpson, who is considered the front runner because of his experience and familiarity with the system. But people saying that, I'm like, no, but he's familiar with Nick Saban's system. He does have some experience with Kalen DeBoer's from this past year, but Austin Mack has more. And he has potential. He is huge. He has a great arm. So maybe that's the direction we go in. And Keelon Russell, he's the wonder kid. He's another Ryan Williams, but inexperienced quarterbacks can completely ruin a game. So I would kind of want to go with Ty Simpson or Austin Mack. Personally, I kind of want to take a bet on Austin Mack, but who do I think it will be? It'll be Ty Simpson. And my worry here is that if Ty Simpson starts, I think we're going to lose Austin Mack because I believe Keelon Russell is the future of Alabama football and will be starting in 2026.
I don't disagree with you. I think if we're thinking logically, yes, it will likely be rewarded to Ty Simpson for his loyalty to the program. And I think there is something to be said for that, is that if you do stay with these different programs and you do continue to invest your time, your talent, and your energy into helping be a part of this team mentality, that should be rewarded. However, merit and skills also should be dominating who is the right person to help lead a team forward in the future. And that's where it's such a little tricky situation, is that with these different programs that we're seeing develop, and especially I think the lack of loyalty that we witness because of the transfer portal with these NIL deals and everything else that's really coupling and enticing these players to truly have a me first mentality, which yes, we understand you got to do that, but still you're playing on a team. There is still no me in team unless you spell it backwards. And it's so important to, I think, recognize talent and continue to foster it and reward it. But again, you do have to make sure that players who deserve to be the front runners are getting that play time. So I don't disagree with you from what we're expecting to see of Ty Simpson starting. If things don't go well, Austin Mack for sure will have the job. And again, Keelon Russell, as he continues to get that opportunity to develop and build that synergy with players like Ryan Williams, that kid's going to be unstoppable. So
unstoppable.
2026, we're predicting it now. Again, we're a little bit biased over here in locker room talk because we're both Bama grads. But all that to be said, though, there still is so much talent and potential that we continue to get the privilege of watching in the SEC. And I look forward, though, to seeing who is going to be that first starting quarterback that Kalen DeBoer and Ryan Grubb probably put on the field. So we will see come August and September this year. But till then, though, you guys, let us know in the comments who you guys think will be the starting quarterback for Alabama for the 2025 season using the hashtag SEC stuff.